Hi YouTube, this is Darkon633. We're back with another Transformers Robots in Disguise toy review. This time we're going to take a look at the Warrior Class Soundwave in the Combiner Force sub-brand of Transformers Robots in Disguise. If I remember correctly, this is actually a part of the third wave of this year's Combiner Force figures for Robots in Disguise. And to start off, we're going to take a look at Soundwave. Now, for those who watched the show up to this point, Soundwave actually appeared in the show, but in his original Transformers Prime design. So, when I first saw this show up at one of the toy fairs, I forgot, it's either a Comic-Con or a toy fair, I forgot which one it was. It's been a while since I first saw the toy. And it's kind of interesting what happened here for Soundwave's design. First, we're going to take a look at the box. The box shows Soundwave up here, but looking at it more closely, it's a little different than what we see with the actual product. When we see here with the visor, you can see that he has a standard visor with the mouth plate and everything. However, the head itself is a lot more reminiscent of the Prime head with the all mechanical and schematic-like design on the face itself. So it's kind of interesting what happened here between the changes. Shows his vehicle mode, and pretty much shows how he transfers in the back and so on, along with the look at the app. So now we're going to take a look at the figure itself. Before anything else, here is Soundwave next to his previous counterpart from Transformers Prime. And he's actually quite different, although the overall scheme of things is still intact. This version of Soundwave was a little bit more of a sleeker design, and it's a lot different compared to what are the Soundwaves we usually get within the animated series. However, this one is a little bit more reminiscent of what a Soundwave kind of looks like in both bulk and design. It's very reminiscent, for what I could tell, of the Fall of Cybertron / Warper Cybertron design, and also somewhat the animated design as well. So it's got a lot of cues going from there. So it's a little bit more towards that kind of animation rather than a full-on kind of new reimagining of the character. One thing to note is, for some reason, it is unknown since the show has yet to air again with the next season. Laserbeak seems to be completely omitted in this design, and that's kind of weird what happened there. And it'll be interesting to see what we'll see in store for the show later. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more confirmation, or confirmation in general, about what's happening in the next season. Anyway, so now take a look at Articulation. The cannon is pegged on the shoulder, and for what I could tell, he can't really carry this as a handheld weapon, which is unfortunate, but at least it's a little better than the Transformers Prime toy, since at least he has some sort of weapon, since that one didn't have a weapon at all. In the Japanese version, it came with an arms micron release that's pretty close to how he uses his tentacle attacks, but not so much here. It's pretty much just a bulky design, and that's about it, but at least it does have a shoulder-mounted cannon. Articulation-wise, the head is on a ball joint, but it's a little hard to get into, especially with the cannon in place. And it only goes about that far, and it kind of looks up and down due to a transformation joint. He has fully ball-jointed shoulders with good range of movement, and it's double-jointed since it allows it to move up and down due to transformation. He has this very strange single joint in the elbow, and the reason why it's strange is that it breaks up the look when you move it. Ball joints at the elbow, there, but no other articulation points since he does not have any wrist joints. He does have full 360 waist articulation due to transformation, and that's kind of interesting since the transformation does include something within the joint in here, which would be kind of interesting how it even works out. He has ball joints at the hips, swivels at the thighs, but are very tiny, so that's nice. Single joints at the knees, and that's about it. He doesn't even have feet pivot that much since the back piece kind of gets in the way, so there isn't a whole lot of movement there. We'll now move on to something that I actually have not seen in a mainline Transformer in a long time, and that is a good amount of light piping. I'll just have a little flashlight here, and right here shows, sorry about that, a pretty good lighting in the head itself. What's weird is that the face actually has some kind of detail. It's like I said, there is a face design inside, but it's really hard to see due to how translucent the plastic is. We'll now move on to the transformation. We're going to move the shoulder cannon, and this is where it gets a bit strange, since you do need to move a lot of components, and it can be very finicky at times if you don't move them correctly. We're going to move the chest completely so it looks like this. Open it up so that we have enough space in order to collapse the head. You do need to kind of move it around a little bit more just to get it into place. But once you get it down, you're supposed to pull it all the way down. So it looks like this. Next what we're going to do is just move the arms into position, since they will be forming the sides in a minute. And here's where it gets interesting. Inside the waist joint itself, first we're going to spin this around. We're going to go in here, and as you can see, it kind of untabs inside there. You do need to play around with it in order to get it all together. These will actually turn like this, and it's really hard to do sometimes due to the way how tight the hips are. And these will form the back legs. What we're going to do is pull these, and actually it looks like I accidentally turned this around the wrong way, so we're just going to turn it back once more. So it looks something like this. Now what we're going to do is just situate it so that it looks like that. We're going to collapse the feet. So now it forms the back and covers up some of the empty gaps there. Peg these together. And this will collapse into the entire component here. So you almost got them fully in vehicle mode, but you do need to move a few more components around. These will actually turn around, and then you pull this panel, and it'll form an area where you actually fill in another gap on the side. And these arms will peg into the legs there. So we just need to get everything situated. There we go. Now that we got that there, these will peg into the sides. There we go. So we got one side pretty much pegged in. And this will fill up the gap, since down here it will actually peg in over the area here. So now we got to go collapse there. There we go. And then to finish off the front, there's another area where you peg in down here from the side of the shoulders. So now we got one side fully transformed. We're going to do the other side now. This figure has a problem with the lining, since a lot of the joints inside here have a lot of turning mechanisms, just the way that it moves. We're going to turn this around, plug in the area like this. So there we go. Now we got a little bit more familiar with the situation there. We're going to peg on the other side, turn this around and peg it in. Now, that will finish off the transformation to his vehicle mode. Now that we got Soundwave fully in his vehicle mode, he becomes this kind of armored kind of truck car thing. I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to be, but it is some kind of armored vehicle. You can place the cannon in the same place you would put it in robot mode. You can put it on the other side if you wish to. So it looks like this. And in terms of actual functionality, that's pretty much it. It's just a regular type of vehicle with wheels. It does have very open areas, which is kind of annoying, but as long as you keep it in the front and from the back and so on, at least most of it is covered. It rolls decently. It does have the standard plastic wheels. They're a little bit more of a translucent plastic, but that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode. As a comparison, here he is next to his previous counterpart, which obviously he was a stealth jet back then, and it looks like he went more towards a armored car type of style. Now, since he is still in what is technically the in-between zone between both realities, it is weird how they're going to possibly approach bringing him back. So far, most of the characters, if not all the characters, were featured in the show up to this point in some shape or form, at least in the toy line and the major warrior class line. So it's kind of interesting what we're going to see in the near future. Obviously, this doesn't include things like Dripped and some of the other repaints that we've seen, but in terms of actual characters, it looks like pretty much everyone has had some kind of appearance in the show up to this point, outside of obviously the new characters and Combiner Force, since the season has yet to air. In conclusion, if you're a fan of the character in general within the Transformers Prime to Robots in the Skies universe, then I highly recommend picking this up. Or if you're just a fan of Soundwave in general, I think this is a pretty decent pickup, since it has a lot of cool stuff going for it, and it does look like a pretty decent Soundwave. The only thing I don't really like about it is that the transformation is a little bit hard to get to from time to time, but I could see what they were trying to do and make it a little bit more interesting instead of a very simplistic kind of transformation. I do like the fact that, at least in robot mode, most of the areas that could be considered very hollow are mostly filled out. I forgot to mention this earlier. There's a lot of hollowness here, but that's about it. A lot of the areas that could have been hollow were at least filled up. So, for example, on the sides here, the panels do fold around and actually hide that. And my favorite part is that it is one of the couple of Transformers that can actually fill out the back end of the legs because of the wheels that actually form around it, making it a little bit more streamlined. And I really enjoyed the fact that Hasbro went ahead and designed it that way. In terms of an overall Soundwave, I think this is one of the coolest Soundwaves I've seen in a long time, and I highly recommend picking this up, especially if you're a fan of the cartoon as well. Anyways, I got this at Hasbrotoyshop along with Blur, which I'll be reviewing next, but for now, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hero Club and Hirotaku. Also check out Twitter under Darkon633, and don't forget to check down the other channels down below. Please check the bell at the bottom of the screen in order to see my content go up as soon as possible. And I'm back with more Transformers reviews and more, but for now, I'll be seeing you later, YouTube. Bye.